Let's finish off our week with chapter 35 of Absolutely Truly. This is embarrassing, said Hatcher. Ugh, tell me about it, I replied. The two of us were at the bookstore the next morning helping Dad and Aunt True. I was still trying to blot out yesterday's disastrous joint meet. My family was being super nice to me, which only made it feel worse, of course. I tried to be happy for Danny and Hatcher, who were total rock stars at their wrestling meets last night. People around town are calling them the Lovejoy Bros, like they're a circus act or something, and I try to be happy for my mother, too. She could hardly contain herself when Dad wandered down the mats and started talking to the coaches. It was the first real sign of interest he's shown in wrestling since Black Monday. None of it made any difference to me, though. All I could think about was that stupid mistake I made in the final turn at the pool. And now here I was, about to be humiliated again. For some unknown reason, Aunt True had gotten into her head that we would dress up in honor of Valentine's Day for the bookshop's grand reopening. She even persuaded Dad to agree to spring for a pair of costumes. She waited until this morning, when we were trapped at the store under Dad's watchful eye, to surprise us with them. Danny took one look at them and quickly played the homework card. So sorry, big physics test first thing on Monday morning. I gotta go study, yada yada yada. Dad wouldn't let Hatcher and me off the hook, though. Your aunt talked me into wasting money on these foolish things, and someone's gonna wear them. And those someones were us, of course. Thanks for throwing us under the bus, Hatcher muttered as her older brother made his escape. Danny grinned and gave us a thumbs up as he headed out the door. Looking good. We didn't, of course. We looked dumb. Hatcher was dressed as Cupid, complete with a Roman toga, gold-painted plastic bow and arrow, and golden wings. My outfit was even more horrible. I was stuck with a hooded red unitard, whose matching headband had sparkly red hearts bobbing on a pair of wobbly antennae, and a poofy heart-shaped pillow that strapped over my body like a sandwich board. It was shiny and red, just like my humiliated face. At least we didn't have to dress up for the walk over here, said Hatcher grimly, tugging on his toga. I mean, it could have been worse, right? The two of us had dropped Lauren and Pippa at Belinda Winchester's before heading to the bookstore. Belinda had offered to watch them until story hour, since the rest of us had a lot of work to do, setting up the chairs for this afternoon's reading, baking piles of mini whoopie pies, filling the goodie bags with what we'd been giving out with purchases. Belinda had met us at our back door wearing shorts, sandals with wool socks, a t-shirt, and a straw hat. Groovin' to the Beach Boys, she said by way of greeting, pulling on an earbud. She gestured at the blue sky and grinned. Can you believe the weather this weekend? Made to order. Pippa had given a swift hug and run past her into the kitchen. Belinda Winchester's house looks pretty much the way you'd think it would, except that it's spotless. Cluttered as all get out, but absolutely spotless. I was expecting tales from the crypt, and instead I found Mrs. Clean. My mother had told my father the first time she stopped by. Hi, Fern, Lauren had said, bending down and scooping up the big tabby cat who'd been curled up by the wood stove. Belinda didn't actually have as many cats as people thought. There were just 2 permanent residents, Fern and Avery, but there were a whole lot of visitors. Word was out in Grafton County that she'd been taking care of strays, so baskets and boxes and even bags were dropped off on her doorstep, filled with cats in need of a new home. She had deputies in all the nearby towns scouting for potential kitten adopters, and she even had her own blog where she featured new arrivals. I'd handed Mrs. Winchester a loaf of my mother's homemade banana bread. My mom said to tell you thanks, and that she'll see you later this morning. Belinda nodded, her earbud already back in, head bobbing to the strains of Kokomo. Here truly, said my aunt, thrusting a book at me and pulling my attention back to the task at hand. Add this to Miss Maple's picks, would you? It'll make Augustus happy when he comes in this afternoon for his reading. Miss Maple's picks was another one of Aunt True's bright ideas. Every bookstore on the planet has a staff picks display, she'd said one afternoon as I was finishing up a tutoring session. I think it's fun if we do something a little different. Who's going to care what the dog reads? Grumbled my dad after she explained her plan. Then she slapped his palm against his forehead in a mock self-reproach. Wait, what am I saying? Dogs don't read. Aunt True laughed. Everyone will care, JT. You'll see. And she was right. It was a huge hit with our customers. What's Miss Maple's reading this week? They'd ask, making a beeline for the shelf by the front door. Miss Maple has her own page now on the bookstore website, Ghostwritten by Aunt True, which gets more hits than all of the other pages combined. Just last week, the Pumpkin Falls Patriot Bugle featured Miss Maple in their Around Town column, along with a fake interview and a picture of her sitting proudly by her namesake shelf. The story was picked up by the newswires, and we got a flurry of media interest from as far away as Australia. People everywhere love dogs, I guess. Mom says Aunt True is a marketing genius. Catching a glimpse of my poofy heart-shaped reflection in the front window, though, I wasn't sure. I sighed and played Summer's Siren Song by Augustus Savage face out of Miss Maple's shelf. Looking at it more closely, I was tempted to turn it over. Someone should give the woman on the covers of romance books turtlenecks to wear. It's embarrassing. I went back to the counter to continue stuffing gift bags. I keep thinking it just got misplaced and someone's going to find it, Aunt True was saying to a customer. I still can't believe that someone would actually take it. She was talking about the copy of Charlotte's Web, of course. I'd come up empty-handed in my efforts to catch the thief. The mystery of the missing book was still unsolved. 2 hours later, I'd replenished our supply of gift bags filled with bookmarks, discount coupons, a copy of our newsletter, and chocolate kisses that I helped Aunt True bake several dozen more mini pumpkin whoopie pies. Hatcher, meanwhile, had set up all the chairs for this afternoon's reading, waited on customers, sorted all the special orders, and was just finishing up getting things organized for story hour. Mr. Henry, said Aunt True as the bell over the door jangled. Right on time. I see you've dressed for the occasion. The children's librarian, who was wearing his trademark red and white striped sweater, laughed. I'm always dressed for the occasion, he replied. You're looking very Valentine-y yourself. Aunt True wasn't in a costume exactly, but she decked herself out in red from head to toe. Red skirt, red sweater, red tights, and red cowboy boots. I'm not sure, my aunt replied, plucking at the strands of silver paper hearts she'd strung around her neck. I think I look kind of like Mrs. Claus. You couldn't look like Mrs. Claus if you tried, said the librarian gallantly. My mouth fell open. Was Mr. Henry flirting with my Aunt True? Mr. Henry looked over at me. His eyebrows shot up as he eyed my costume. You're, very fancy. I made a face. The kids are gonna love it, he told me with a wink. Trust me. He was right. Hatcher and I might have felt humiliated, but we were the stars of Story Hour. The kids laughed themselves silly as we circled the children's room with our trays of mini whoopie pies and heart-shaped shortbread cookies. Hatcher totally got into it, smiling his sunflower smile as he pretended to shoot his bow and arrow. I just stuck to handing out treats. Afterward, the kids all ran over and lined up to have their pictures taken with us, and with Miss Maple, who was dressed for the occasion thanks to Pippa and Lauren. My sisters had tied a big red bow on her collar and painted her toenails bright pink with sparkles, of course. Whoa, said a voice behind me. I turned around to see Scooter standing there. Calhoun was with him. I didn't even give Scooter a chance to open his mouth. Looking him straight in the eye, I said, if you call me truly gigantic, or truly drooly, or anything else, I swear I will deck you. Scooter looked at the tray in my hand and said, with what? A whoopie pie? Leave her alone, Scooter, said Calhoun, giving the revolving greeting card rack a twirl. Scooter over at him. He frowned. What's up with you, dude? You're no fun at all lately. They didn't stick around for long after that, thank goodness. They just came up for the free treats. Believe it or not, though, that wasn't the low point of the afternoon. The low point was after lunch, when the Patriot Bugle showed up to cover Augustus Wilde's book signing. Oh, look how cute you are, said the photographer when she spotted me in my ridiculous costume. Come on over. We need a shot of you standing next to Augustus. Reluctantly, I did as she asked. This is definitely front-page material, the photographer assured us. Augustus, of course, was thrilled, and I, on the other hand, was not. Just what I need to make my day complete, I thought sourly. Immortalized forever next to Captain Romance. Hatcher, the boogerhead, was nowhere to be seen during all of this, of course. I stomped off looking for him, fuming. What are you doing back here? My father asked when I poked my head in the office. Aren't you supposed to be helping with the cash register? Hatcher can help, I said shortly. Where is he anyway? My father shrugged. Haven't seen him. Going on back now, Truly. You know we're counting on you. Yes, sir, I said sullenly. How come you get to hide back here? I wanted to ask him. But I gritted my teeth and did as he asked. We're going to pause here. We're about halfway through chapter 35 and we'll finish the rest next time around. So tell me, what's happening in the book? Why is Truly so embarrassed? What sort of thoughts do you have in your head? And what kind of feelings do you have in your heart about this chapter?